Welcome back to Real Talk with Chuck and Pam. I'm Pam.
I think I'm Chuck.
Some days you
Am I
wonder,
Chuck?
or maybe you just want to change your identity.
Let's say I don't want to be Chuck,
If you
but I
could
think
be
I am.
any actor, who would you be?
In what regard?
Like you could take on that person's life because you've admired their work so much and you have admired them as a person. Who would you be?
I think maybe Clooney.
Okay.
He does a lot of he's very much he does a lot of activist work.
Okay.
He lives in Italy on a lake.
Nice. Yeah, that Como Lake,
That
yeah.
Como Lake thing. Yeah, he's made some decent movies. You could do worse than him.
Yep, true. Very, very true.
What about
Good.
you? Yeah.
I think I would be Aubrey Plaza. And not because she's absolutely adorable and she wears the cutest outfits, although I did have some issues with the outfit that she wore. What was that for? The
SAG
Awards, yeah.
SAG, yeah. There's
Poor
some jokes
thing.
there.
Oh,
no,
man.
not poor thing.
Oh, you know what? You
no.
shouldn't be criticizing somebody on what they wear.
No, but no poor thing. She wore it and knew the risks that were inherent to that.
Right.
You know.
She is bold. She's daring. She says what she thinks. And I admire that in a woman, to be able to do things that she takes chances. Some things are flops, some things are really good. I think she's got a really snarky sense of humor, and I think she's an amazing actress. So I think that's who I would pick. At least today, that's who I would pick.
You know, a favorite of mine, and I think you've come to like her too, Haley Lou Richardson. There was an interesting article on her in the New York Times this week.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Good for her.
It was really cool because it was talking about her being an emerging star because of White Lotus, and it's a shame that's the thing that's had to get her noticed.
Right?
But at least she's noticed.
Right.
And how she went to Fashion Week for the first time.
Oh, yeah?
And suddenly there was... Yeah, and there was a Jennifer Coolidge drag queen that they had sitting next to her. And just her reaction to everything and how things are taking off for her. So look that up. That was an interesting article as well, because I love her too.
Yeah, and you've interviewed her.
Yeah, she makes good choices, like Aubrey Plaza. You know, I'm sure Marvel and those other big studios have come calling to these two ladies, and, you know, they do their own thing. And
Right.
more power to them.
Yep. Absolutely. So speaking of power, let's talk about the big one this week. The big one is Creed 3. Creed 3. I looked up a little information,
Okay.
and there are 9 movies in the Rocky franchise.
Yes, I know.
I did not know that.
Yes.
I loved the first Rocky. Did you love the first Rocky?
I love the first Rocky. I love the first Rocky because it's not a boxing movie.
Exactly.
It's a love story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, in my review for Creed, I
Creed 1, Creed 2, or Creed 3?
I'm sorry, Creed 3.
Thank you.
Creed 3. Creed 3, starring Michael B. Jordan as Adonis Creed, the heavyweight champion of the world. I feel like I need to have like a gong behind me or something, or 2 beautiful women in bikinis
That's
prancing
more
around.
likely. Yeah, they don't do gongs at fights.
No,
but yeah,
okay,
no,
well,
no.
whatever. I heard a gong in my head. And he is now retired as the heavyweight champion of the world. This story, he's got a lot of things in his past that he really hasn't faced. And that's what this story is about the demons that are still haunting him, that he's buried, but they come to life again for him because an old friend of his named
Damian Anderson.
Thank you, played by Jonathan Majors.
I just wrote my review today. It's all
Oh, did
fresh
you?
in my head. Yeah.
I'm going to need to look at my notes when I do
I got
the
it.
review. Shows up at his doorstep, almost quite literally, and he's got a few secrets that are buried, and he's got to face the music because Damien has taken one for the team with what he did when they were younger. And he was in the penitentiary for many, many years. He's asking our heavyweight champion for a chance in the ring. He knows that he can be the next heavyweight because that's what he wanted to be when he was younger. So this story is about friendships and loyalty and family. Unfortunately, there's just way too much boxing for my taste. Okay, so this movie takes a long time to get off the ground. I looked at my watch.
And yet you said that there was too much boxing.
Yeah.
There's initially boxing, and then there's, as you just said, a long time before
Yes.
there's more boxing.
Well, there is, and there's just not a lot that happens in that hour and 10 minutes before we get to, quote unquote, the main event of the storyline. I feel like it should have been trimmed down a little bit. Cinematically, this is amazing. I thought the cinematography was absolutely incredible to capture the brutality and the violence that boxing is. I think that's what, and I know they used a lot of the same techniques with Rocky. I mean, obviously a little bit more refined now just because of the number of years that have gone by and the technology has changed. I felt the blows in Rocky in the initial one, but I wasn't as affected by them as I was in this one. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because I'm getting older and boxing is not one of my favorite sports. I don't agree with it on a moral, ethical basis. I think it's, you're going to end up with Parkinson's, too many blows to the head, how many concussions. They did bring that up, which I give them credit for. There were also a couple of flaws in the movie that bothered me, and I'll get to that a little bit. But ultimately, this is about Adonis facing his past and coming to terms with it and growing up, basically. So I liked the story premise. I just felt like it took a long time to get going.
I'm really surprised at you.
Really?
I'm really surprised at you.
Why? What now?
Because I thought that this movie did a lot of things that most boxing movies wouldn't. And I thought it was a stronger movie because of it. And I think one of the two things that I really enjoyed during that whole hour that you were bored out of your mind was the fact that they explored the family dynamic.
I loved it. And okay, I put that in my review too.
The family dynamic is very important there, and they wouldn't focus on that. I mean, the relationship he has with Bianca, his wife, played by Tessa Thompson, is really strong. And the conversations they have and everything like that, when you were bored, that is really the underpinning. But what else is happening during that hour that you were bored with? And then the relationship with the daughter.
Right.
The daughter is fantastic, and I love the fact that they're very inclusive because the daughter is deaf. And I love that they took the time and were inclusive of that and addressed that in that community with the signing and her inclusion and that kind of thing.
I loved that too.
I thought that was fantastic, and you can't tell me that you were expecting that going into this movie.
No, I wasn't.
See, so I'm surprised that you would knock this movie because I figured that would help elevate it in your mind because it wasn't just the usual thing.
It wasn't, and I think we lost track of the family dynamics toward the end of it.
Well, of course you are, because eventually we've got to...
It's all the fight.
In your review that it was...
And I did enjoy the family dynamics. I loved little girl Amara. I loved the fact that they did address her school issues that she was having and how she admired her father to a fault. I did like those aspects of it. It was just so brutally violent that I'm sorry. Okay, go on. I'm done.
Oh, well, I'm sorry you didn't like a boxing movie. This is why I think you shouldn't see superhero movies anymore either.
Okay.
I mean, because they're just not your cup of tea. There are certain expectations and certain things that are going to happen in these movies that, there's no getting around them.
If I leave a movie and say this was a movie about relationships and not... the vehicle under which it was trying to get to that relationship, that's a good movie. It didn't do that for me.
Okay. But you liked a little white lie.
I thought it was good.
Tell me why.
You know what? I think the basic premise of it was if we tell ourselves a lie over and over enough times, we start to believe that lie.
Okay.
And I liked how Michael Shannon's character, who his name happened to be the same name of a famous author.
Shriver.
Who was a one-hit wonder, but a misogynistic asshole from today's perspective. And he was invited to speak at this podunk little college. And Michael Shannon got the mail accidentally, and he accepted the invitation because it was like a free flight and free whatever. And he's and I shouldn't say just a handyman, he's a handyman, doesn't make a lot of money for some crappy building that he
Fleabag hotel or something,
And so he thinks maybe this is his ticket out of there, at least for a short period of time, a weekend. Kate Hudson plays the professor who is... the person who invites him. She's all, giddy because Shriver actually accepted her invitation, and she's got some other demons that haunt her in the form of Don Johnson.
Another professor there.
Yeah, that they had a little thing going. So there are some interesting little stories that are backstory there. But I think, the whole thing is that Michael B. Shannon's character of Shriver he starts to wonder if maybe he like kind of sleptwalked through one part of his life when he was, I don't know, doing drugs and drinking too much, and maybe this is a part of him because he starts to make memories of what he was doing in his past. Are they real? Are they not? And we question whether or not, is this truly Shriver the author, or is this Shriver the janitor? I liked that. I had fun with it. I like that Don Johnson rode a horse to work.
Because he's drunk and can't drive.
Right.
Right.
So I take it you hated this?
It was, I just didn't think they developed any of it enough.
Okay.
I mean, it's an interesting idea that maybe he is in fact the guy and he's repressed this, but that kind of came out late in the film. And it's like, well, this should have come out earlier and you need to address this a little bit more. The disappearance of a major character and then her reappearance and the explanation of where she was and what she found makes no sense whatsoever.
Okay.
And the tone was all off. I mean, I was bored with this film.
Okay.
This needed a snap. This needed a quick delivery of all the lines. It needed a bit of zaniness to it.
Okay.
To make it palpable. I was just kind of along for a slog. I'm like, where are we going here?
It was slow.
I mean, come on. This should have been a 90-minute movie. I kept thinking if Howard Hawks or Frank Capra had made this in the 30s and 40s with Clark Gable and Barbara Stanwyck, and we would have been moving right along and everything would have been great. But at this point, I mean, I just thought, there's a good idea here. It just wasn't there for me.
Okay. All right, so what else we got?
I don't know. I think you wanted to talk about Linoleum.
Linoleum. Okay, I'm going to put it right there on the table, not on the floor. Get it, Linoleum? I enjoyed this movie. It's a Jim Gaffigan film about a man who's struggling in his relationship with his wife as well as in his career because he has been ousted and he is being replaced by someone who looks remarkably like him, but a much younger version. This is a trip down memory lane for the Gaffigan character. Do you remember his name, Walter?
Yeah, I think so, Walter.
And we learn a lot about Walter's past and upbringing as well as his children and how they respond to his decisions and how embarrassing Dad is because he's got this kind of Bill Nye's the Science Guy kind of TV show, and that's what he's been ousted because this other younger guy is coming in to take his place. His daughter has befriended this other Walter version, the son of this man, and he's got a rocky road as far as his relationship with his father. This is all about relationships between fathers and sons and daughters and parents and husbands and wives, and I really, you knew the twist that was going to happen. And
Explain it to me, please, because I don't think I got it. This one bored me as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I was crying at the end.
I know.
Oh.
You can explain it to me off the air.
I will. I'll explain it off the air. Okay. All right.
This seemed to me
Man.
kind of like a low-rent Interstellar.
Okay.
In which they wanted to do something really tricky with time, space, continuum, doppelganger, alternate reality.
Seriously?
That's what I got out of it. I'm like, where are we going with this?
Oh, okay. So without giving anything away to people that are listening, the very beginning, the introduction, the narration tells you everything that you need to know for the movie. So...
I don't remember it at all.
Okay. All right. We'll talk about it off the air.
Okay.
I
guess you've got to pay really close attention to this one, or at least the first 2 minutes of the movie.
Okay. Oh man, Chuck. This ended up being a very sweet and touching love story, as well as a love story about life and how fleeting it is. Oh my God, I'm going to cry talking about it. You didn't like it.
I just didn't understand it.
Okay. All right.
For me, it was just trying to be a bit too clever.
Okay.
And it lost me.
Okay.
Now, I'm getting old. Maybe it's the early onset's Alzheimer's. I don't know.
It's ironic that you would say that.
But yeah, okay. I don't know. I just didn't get it.
All right. Well, tell us about the year between.
Do I have to?
You do. Was awful, really?
It wasn't awful. It's
Maybe I'll like it because I think we have disagreed.
yeah,
on
we're not
everything.
agreeing with
We
anything
are
this
not.
week. You know, it's a movie. The Year Between was shot actually in the Chicago area, so there's that. If you're from this area, you're going to recognize a lot of stuff there, and it's the first time film for a young filmmaker who also plays the lead role. Her name is Alex Heller. She wrote, directed, and stars in this, and she's a young woman playing Clemens, named Clemens, and she has bipolar disorder. She goes to college, makes her roommate's life a living hell, and she eventually has to go home. And Steve Buscemi is her dad, a high school teacher, and a woman by the name of J. Smith Cameron is her mom. You don't know the name, you know the face. This woman's been in a lot of stuff.
Okay.
And she's got a brother and a sister, and suddenly she's living back at home. She was supposed to be gone away to college. They converted her room. You're out of here. And suddenly she's back. And she is creating havoc for everyone because of her behavior, her resistance to address her behavior. They take her to therapy. She wants nothing to do with it. She does questionable behavior. She's all about her. And then we find out that mom has cancer. Buscemi's a lot of fun here because he's Mr. Optimist.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of against type.
Sarcastic, yeah.
It is. It's against type, and it was kind of fun to watch him. He was the guy. He's the guy who always wants to smooth over every problem. Oh, it's going to be fine. Everything's great. Everything. Oh, don't worry. So it was kind of fun to see him, and then he's always good.
Yeah.
It's hard to make a film in which the main character is so ungodly, unlikable.
Yeah.
And this character is. You
Okay.
hate her. I hated her. Okay. I was trying to understand what she's going. I get it. Okay. But goddamn. I mean,
You got to be able to connect with the main character.
it's almost
in
as
some
if
way.
she wallows in this behavior and refuses to address it. And that's where my sympathy for her just was out the
Did you see
window.
any growth?
A little, but it wasn't convincing.
Okay.
It seemed to be more of a result of convenient screenwriting
Okay.
than things that you see on screen where she's slowly, growing or changing.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's first film for this woman. I mean, she takes some chances. I mean, this is a thorny subject. It's a timely subject. I mean, mental illness. So kudos for her to try and tackle it. But it's just, I wanted to watch a Marx Brothers movie afterwards.
Okay.
I needed something, just going, oh God, I need something just to lift my spirits here. So, yeah, wow, what a weird week. I don't think we've ever disagreed like this before.
Right.
So across the board. And,
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so going back to Creed, because
Yeah.
that bothered me.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I felt like there were two different movies.
Okay. I can see that.
I did enjoy the family part. And then at an hour and 10 minutes, then we get into the Adonis Creed getting back into the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's that movie. So in many ways, I felt like two movies, and I loved the family dynamics, and it was like two separate stories that didn't intertwine enough.
Okay.
I
I'll
wouldn't bring my little kid to a boxing match either.
Well,
That bothered me.
that's, we can talk about things that are wrong with the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys looked way too good after going at it for 12 rounds.
they were
That was a
fine.
big
Yeah.
problem.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
they're both way
Knocked to
too
the head.
old. Their characters are way too old to be doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, you could pick that crap apart.
Yeah.
But let me throw this at you.
Okay.
I think another element in the film is that it's talking about damaged masculinity as well. These two guys have been brought up in a time and in a community where
Mm-hmm.
they're not supposed to deal with their emotions. They're not supposed to show anything. It's like, pack that shit down. And I thought it was interesting that this film addresses that as well. Through his wife saying, you got to talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
And he has to learn the hard way that you can't, run away from these problems. You've got to deal with this.
That's good. Yeah, good point.
And I thought that was an interesting aspect as well, especially the final conversation between the two of them at the end of the fight, which I guess was silly. So,
Kind of. Do they have to go through all that and then it's summed up in a simple sentence from each of them? A little too simple.
maybe.
That was
But-
laughable to me.
But I would argue that most of the boxing movies haven't had that scene.
Okay.
It usually ends with the end of the fight and someone's cheering and blah, and we're done.
Okay.
So
Okay. All right.
you're going away for a while, aren't
I
you?
am. Are you
Maybe
glad?
That's a good idea. Maybe we just need to... Actually, though, I need to talk to you about that when I'm going to maybe ask you a favor, and you might just be in the right mood for this now. Be interesting, yeah. Okay.
Alrighty.
So, yeah, Pam is going to go skiing, and if she doesn't break her knee, well, even if she does,
Doesn't matter.
she's going to have knee surgery. So, you're going to be out of commission for a couple weeks then.
Yep. I'll be back the end of March.
Hobbling in the end of March.
Yep. Sounds good. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Tune in a few weeks. We will be back, I hope.
Yep.